Hi, I'm Muriel, and I'm going to share with you something that's been one of my favorite things ever since I went to Brittany for the first time. And that's an area in the west of France that's famous for their crepes, and in particular the buckwheat crepes, the savory ones, made with a type of flour that really only grows in that region in the west of France. And that's called Noir or sarrasin. And it's a type of buckwheat flour, but you can see the difference. It's just a little lighter than a standard buckwheat flour. So it makes a little bit lighter crepe, but you know, you can use just 100% buckwheat flour for this and it will make a fine crepe. I've done it that way many times. So I'll walk you through it, and I tell you, it has to be easy and fun for me to do it because I'm a guitar player. I don't have a lot of time for cooking, but I love great food. So I've come up with kind of a streamlined method, and the creperies will have very specific ways that they add things, but I'll just do 1.5 cups of buckwheat flour. And I want to thank Eric in France for this great authentic blé noir, the beautiful flour there, and a teaspoon of salt, a little heaping teaspoon, and then we'll add water. The first creperie that I went to learn about that, they use a combination of water and milk, and that makes it a little smoother, but I found that just using water with no milk makes it actually a lighter crepe, which is kind of interesting. So you'll have some creperies that'll mix milk with it and have the little smoother version, and some will have the lighter version. So this is a little over 2 cups of water for just that 1.5 cups of flour. And then I'm going to mix in 1 large egg. I like to use happy eggs, of course. Nice organic egg there, and mix that in. And here again, I love great food, but don't like to spend a lot of time making it. So I guess my formula for food is taste plus nutrition plus presentation divided by the time it takes to prepare it. So really, there's very specific ways to mix it to get the lumps out, but as long as you just mix it all together and eventually get the lumps out, any way works, okay? So what I'm looking at here is I'm trying to get this about the consistency of a thick syrup, really. And so then the only thing left is to get a couple of those lumps out of there. You could just do it with a fork or with a whisk, make it go a little quicker. All right, and then I'll be ready to mix my crepes. So in the meantime, what I've done is made my mise en place. So this is gotten all my little ingredients ready, and you can put anything you want in a crepe. That's a wonderful thing about it. That's why I would have it 3 times a day. Even when I came home, I'd have it at least once a day, whether breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And sometimes I'll just create something altogether new. You can put nuts, cheeses, meats, berries, and sometimes in unusual combinations, and they're remarkably good. So it's a way to be creative, to feature really wonderful ingredients, or even to use up leftovers in a very elegant way. So we're just about ready now to walk over to the stove and make our first buckwheat crepe. Just pull that up and ready to go. Okay, here's where a little music while we're cooking makes everything more fun. And I've got my pan heating up. You want it pretty hot. On my stove, it's a little past a 6. That'll vary. So you can see how it's nice and steamy there, because I put the olive oil in. And then I'm going to stir this up again. It'll separate after a while, and sometimes you may need to add some water. Okay, so it's still a nice syrup consistency, so that seems right. And creperies will often let that dough sit overnight, and it ferments ever so slightly and gets a nice flavor. So you can also make it the night before. So here I am. I'm rolling it around now. I add a little bit more and make a full-size crepe and roll it from the centers to the edges to make a round crepe now. And the crepe pan, this cast iron crepe pans are great for this. You can also use a cast iron pan if you don't have a crepe pan. And what you'll see is that as it starts to cook, there's little craters that start to form. And that's how you know you have the right temperature and the right consistency. And so the traditional Breton crepe, the real traditional one, is ham, cheese, and egg. And I make one slight change, well, two slight changes. For Brian, I make it that way. For me, I'll use smoked turkey. And I'll also take some spinach and make a little ring of spinach. So this is kind of my own creation, only because I had a stove that was not completely level and the egg would always go to one direction or the other. So that little circle keeps the egg yolk in the center, keeps it from meandering out. So you can break the egg yolk and spread it all around the crepe. Some people prefer it that way. Or if you like a runny yolk and a cooked white, you can leave it there in the center. So I'm going to add a couple types of cheese for this. I can bring that further out to the edges on the cheese. And then to make it more fun, this is where we can be creative. This is our improvisation part. Like in the music and in the food, we can do a little improv. And I've got some fresh berries, and the fresh berries are very nice. They add this little bits of sweet. And even for a flavor bomb, I have some dried cherries, and these, I'll just put a couple in there, so every now and then you go, whoa, what is that? It's this kind of great flavor that pops in there. And then I'm going to add, usually I use walnuts, but today I decided to do roasted pumpkin seeds, pepitas. So now, because this is Brian's crepe, there's two other things that are happening here. We're going to put some ham all around here, and then Brian loves rosemary, so why not just a little bit of rosemary? And you want to be careful because rosemary will take over. So just the lightest smattering of rosemary around here scattered about will be fun for Brian especially. Now, in order to get that white to cook, sometimes I've tried flipping it, but the better way I found is to just cover it with a pan just for a little while. Now this is not traditional, okay? So it's a not traditional way to do a crepe, but it really works for cooking the white and leaving the yolk runny if you like it that way. And there's several ways to spread the crepes. If you're making them for a bunch of people, instead of one at a time like this, you might want to cook it on both sides first and then do the fillings later, so you have a whole stack of pre-cooked pancakes there, crepes. Or you, if it's too hard to rotate the pan like that, you can spread it out. In fact, most creperies use a little spatula that they start at the center and move outward to get a nice even crepe. So all those things are legal. And let's see how that is doing. Okay, just about ready. So what I'm looking at here is the edges are starting to come up, and we're getting a nice golden brown underneath there. So then what I can do is I fold that over, and you can do it in squares, but I like the triangular crepes. So I'm going to fold these over this side, and then you will have the yolk peeking out of the middle. So just to get that a little bit more cooked, I'm going to cover that over again just for a few minutes. And when I'm ready to serve it, it's traditionally served with cidre, the hard cider, which is a wonderful flavor with the crepes. If you don't have it, just take some apple slices and garnish it with apple slices. It's remarkable how that apple flavor fits so well with the crepes. And it's you won't believe how good these are. You know, if you're sharing it with somebody, it creates an experience. So it's the music, it's these meals that bring us together in a special way. And it's something we can still experience, and we can still create these wonderful moments and recreate them, and recreate the memories of sharing meals like this with great friends. So for me, it brings back all those great times in Brittany, the wonderful music, that folk music that has so inspired my music, and the meals that I just can't get enough of. I just love these, and my guests have loved them as well. So I think we're ready, and I'm going to scoop this onto a pan, and Brian, thy crepe awaits thee. And now I'm going to make mine.